It's time for this week's Parting Shots.
So, has anyone answered Malik Hausman's question? Hausman is a defensive back at the University of Arizona. On June 30th, Hausman noticed a report on Twitter that his school's president, Dr. Robert Robbins, wouldn't reopen campus under the current conditions in his state with COVID-19 cases surging. Hausman retweeted that and added a simply profound question. So why me and my team on campus then? Every athletic department in the country should answer this as it opens for voluntary workouts, especially after the Ivy League tabled sports until the spring. Everything about football, from the numbers of players needed to field a team, the proximity of the players while they're on the field, lots of obese players, and the rich old men on the sidelines, is a COVID red flag. Arizona is taking precautions, only allowing 20 COVID-negative athletes as of now. But it is a living, breathing bad idea the schools are trying because the financial repercussions of missing the season would be monstrous. That's uncomfortable, but it's honest and it's understandable. But having athletes on campus when it's too dangerous for the larger student body, that's giving the game away. It wasn't long ago we'd assault a player's character for receiving pocket change from a booster. There's more perspective now, greater recognition of the inherent unfairness of so-called amateurism, and reaction to victimless crime has been tempered. But we still don't have enough perspective to see a player ask why what's good enough for him isn't good enough for his classmates and fill in the obvious blank. Because the players work for the school and the real students don't. Hey, maybe I'm wrong about this, but if no one's explained it to Hausman, it's because they're afraid to tell the truth out loud.
Raise your hand if you predicted 2020 would be the year that the entire college football landscape had their eye on Harvard. The decision by the Ivy League to cancel fall sports is the first domino, albeit a small one, to fall as the conferences across the country try to figure out how to navigate COVID-19. The most impactful part of this decision by the Ivy League is about money. According to the U.S. Department of Education statistics, Princeton, Yale, and Harvard combined to generate about $11 million in revenue each year from their football programs. So when I say money, I'm not referencing revenue. I'm specifically looking at the potential for future liability. Now that one conference, a conference comprised of some of America's most well-thought-of education institutions, has decided the risk to student athletes is too great to justify playing football, every other school will have to answer why they didn't see those risks the same. What did the Ivy League schools figure out that Power 5 schools haven't? And why haven't other schools made the same decisions? These are the type of questions that inevitably will be asked and will have to be answered by schools and university presidents if, God forbid, COVID-19 has disastrous effects on any student athletes or their families. We focus so much on the revenue that colleges desperately need from their football programs. However, rolling the dice on a risk-reward proposition requires that they properly analyze the potential risk that could come from knowingly putting students at greater risk than the general student body just because they're athletes, or not protecting their student athletes as well as other schools choose to. The only thing scarier than the concept of limited revenue should be the concept of limiting future liability.
It was an inflection point in the saga surrounding the Washington pro football team's name. FedEx requested Dan Snyder change its nickname, and when a big money sponsor talks, the owner apparently listens, because within hours, they were, quote, officially reviewing the issue. Never mind that indigenous groups have been fighting for this change for years, saying the name is a racist slur against them. It's happening now, right? Well, not so fast. You see, that became clear to me when I saw the USA Today report that a foundation Snyder set up 6 years ago to help tribal communities gave them exactly $0 last fiscal year. A charity that he set up in 2014. Another inflection point of mounting pressure when he said the time was now for, quote, actions, not words, in helping these communities. What happened? Lip service, that's what. So to me, the lesson here is this. Time kills all deals. Exhibit A, it's been a week. Couldn't they just announce the name is changing by now? Snyder's past MO appears to be this. Wait until the pressure dies down, let his actions fade, and keep his valuable name. And recent reports suggesting the team is removing imagery from their helmet. Well, that's not changing the name now, is it? So this one's on sponsors more than anyone else. They can't give them time to stall. If FedEx wants real action, pull their support. Threaten to take the dollars away. Use that to demand change. If history's any indicator, Snyder wants to have his cake and eat it too. Don't let him.
My hero is a man I never met and about whom I know little. His name was Moritz Alexander Schaap. He's my great-great-grandfather. He's the only one of my 16 great-great-grandparents whose most basic biographical details I'm familiar with. He was born in the Netherlands 190 years ago in 1830 and died in 1898 at the age of 68 in New York City. His 6 siblings, they stayed in the Netherlands. My great-great-grandfather's my hero because he left. I have Moritz's surname, and I have a picture of him. It watches over me at my desk. So he stands in for all my forebears who came here from Europe, but really, they should all be my heroes. Why? I receive notifications from the genealogy website Genie whenever a cousin I've never met updates the family tree with new data and documents. He's very active. I get these updates all the time. When they show up in my inbox, I hold my breath, figuratively. Quite often, the place of birth is somewhere in the Netherlands, and when it is, the place of death is frequently somewhere in occupied Poland, either Auschwitz or Sobibor. None of this makes me special. This is the story of the Nazi efforts to exterminate the Jewish people and the extent to which they succeeded. But because my great-great-grandfather Moritz left Europe, his American-born descendants didn't perish in the death camps. Those camps existed precisely because anti-Semitism is so potent, so infectious, so lethal. That DeSean Jackson would stoop to spreading this disease doesn't make him special. That DeSean Jackson, who's been such an important voice since the killing of his friend George Floyd, who knows so well what this kind of hate leads to, would offer a strong concurral, describing the basest, most dangerous, and dehumanizing lies as the truth, doesn't make him special. But it is appalling and frightening.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.